vibe. Get back into that vibe. I'm feeling a particular vibe right now. It's okay, we can take a little time. Yes, to get in our element, huh? In our element. It's my cat over here. Will sometimes take the controller from me. And when you tune in, my name is Catatonic-cat, and I'm not there. It's because my cat's actually there. It's not me. Yeah, feisty. So that'll make sense, you see. Okay. Just feeling that. I don't know why. It's not going to stay. It's going to bring me to where I need to be for the minute. Okay. Now, there are some very beautiful books out there with some really great animations and things in them. Uh, I've seen one that's very beautiful. Um, it's got an unlocking system. It's just kind of an open journal I was playing with last night. I just kind of fleshed it out, just kind of from mind. Um, One way of making a journal. Use this for having journals. Um, well, for any reason one might have a journal. Is that you can put your thoughts down in them. It's a good way to organize your thoughts and your thought processes. And you can watch a journey. You can maybe even animate a flip book that way. Wouldn't that be interesting? You know, like flip books and see it animation, like flip by flip by flip through your pages. Wouldn't that be cool to see? And I imagine paint has animation, so seeing this very Tolkien and kind of like a tree growing out of that, you know, expanding out, you might have your character in your storybook, and when you click on him, he will become alive in your world. Perhaps there are animations which this is a pop book. You now have an interactive pop book. This might be a good way for you to start your game, your story, your world. There are many reasons to have a book. It's logic and trees, and this might be a good way for you to organize your logic in pages and onion layers, and you can organize your tables and your pages. You see each of these being something you can slap text displayers on. You can muck up your pages, and you can use your shapes if you wish. And we are watching me fumble. It's going through the motions. You can maybe make some holes in your paper. You can spray paint it up. You can give it dimension and texture if you wish. If you wish. Or you can use text gadgets for your background. You can make it old looking. You can make it burned. You can make the pages burn as you go because it's a fiery demonic book of the dead. And there's a fleshy face on here. And you have all your demonic incantations, or you have your mystical light spells because you're a good witch and you're learning about the world, or you're a scientist, and you have a periodic table, and that is just one way of connecting your worlds to other worlds and organizing your thoughts. So this here might be a very good handy start for you. So far, last night when we were playing with this concept, we have one page which turns one page. This is a paint. You can manipulate it. You can animate paint. You can give it. Let's put it back first onto the paper. We can give it flowy effects. We can change the colors. And maybe, perhaps, seeing better would be turning this down in the opacity. On the page, you can play with textures and go to your painterly. These kinds of textures, or these kinds of textures, these kinds of textures, and opacity settings to make different gradients and nice things for your pages if you wish to do it that way. And you don't want to sculpt, you want to do it all in text, you can do it in text. You can make it scroll your text so that this dedicated to you, just for instance. Well, I'm going to change that anyway. Well, let's get out a new one. Why fidget with it? See, this will be in the world. If it's in the world, it's in the world. It can pop out to you. Maybe you can even change that in a keyframe. Maybe you want it to pop it out in the world. You would change it up if you wish with this button. You can change that in a keyframe if you wish. Link that to a control. Move things out of it. That choice is yours. Or you can say, hey, welcome to channel. Okay. And then if you wish, yes, animation here. Speed, animation. So there we go. So as you turn your pages, maybe we won't want the visibility of our background necessarily. We want scribbly writing. We can play with all kinds of fonts. Look at all the fonts. We already did this song. And I'm told I can see comments if there are people through the app, which I have the app downloaded. So I will keep looking back at those. I see people actually popping up in the feed. Maybe get a message from a friend. If you're on the PSN, Catatonic-cat, try to friend me. You can message me and say, hey, stupid, this is how you do this. And that could be one way to do it if I can't figure this out. Shouldn't be a problem. I've done such things, you know. Sometimes things work, sometimes they don't, and your brain is just all over the place. So we're trying to focus our thoughts. Welcome to my channel. Music. Oh, let's go and throw on a little song for us dreamers out there from the Dreamiverse. One that's, it could be like our theme song. You know, what is it? You like Aerosmith? I've been on the Aerosmith ride. There's a fella out here that makes rides in dreams. He makes, now you see that, focus dots. He makes nice rides he constructs them from shapes, mm, which in limitless shapes, of course, things are made from shapes. But I mean, real rides like tilt-a-whirls and roller coasters and all kinds of things. And you give it camera, you can simulate. Heck, you can draw a roller coaster on one of your pages. This is not animated to flip yet, really. So, but if I'm just for sakes, ooh, perhaps I drew this painting on the next page, and it's poking through a bit, which is not a problem. And we're free to even have these animate or not appear until we flip the pages. That's also if we're having any sort of opacity issues. Say a layer is too thin. There's ways and checks and balances of controlling these things. As you can see, there's a little bit of that happening. Maybe that's something you want happening for whatever reason. It's a cool effect for you. But as you can see, these are almost like very thin. They are very thin layers. So there's ways of slightly moving that so it doesn't do that. I constructed this half asleep last night. So you are definitely going to be able to do better if you try. And let's go back to the stall. So I want to watch that. Oops, it's going to do that right away. So hold on. Now. Let's use our control. And let's flip it. Oh, that's taking a weird turn now, didn't it? Sometimes we take weird turns. That was not what we're going for. Wow. What did we just do there? Let's back up a second. No harm, I didn't save anything. Let's go back to it. Back and forth and back and forth. Back and forth. Now this I did put to play once, which you can do it sustained. Maybe it will go to its full thing if you put it on sustained and go back to its initial position when you release it, or maybe you want it to go right away. This is on an animation, and this is not smooth. You do want it colliding. The intention was for it to be bound by ring, which it is indeed bound by ring. It hangs upon it. It is collidable. This could be one way for you to do so. What we're doing there. Oh yeah, okay. So let's flip that open real quick, so I'm not screwing with stuff. It's definitely because I have a little bit of a thing happening with these are keeping the changes. So I'll have a left, which opens it, keep the changes, and then a right, which I pretty much reversed. I had initial keyframe, final keyframe to open, and then took that and just reversed it. And kind of slowly powered it up, back down to the other one. Plug in those controls to do that. You know, open, close. And I imagine, I haven't thoroughly thought out this logic. You can see how they easily slap the selector on it, depending on your number of pages. So that could be a good way to do that. And this was just my thought processes. Like maybe you're working out ideas and you're thinking about thinking about how to do it, but you're not there yet, and your brain's giving up, you can be like, uh, uh, and maybe give yourself notes. This it doesn't have to be complete, but label what you're doing along the way and then you will be able to organize your thoughts as you go. What is this? What is that? And I have labeled everything. I'm learning to label things. Label everything. Practice with this small little book. There are only so many parts. What is this whole thing? What is this whole thing? What is a label? It's an object. My whole object. You know. So again, I speak to people as if they've never played Dreams before. Maybe you're new to the community. Maybe you've just gotten Dreams. Maybe you've been around for a long time and there's just so many tutorials out there that you're overwhelmed and you take it as you go, like I do, just kind of as you go. And suddenly you've found yourself on this channel and it helped you out for whatever reason. Great. You do not have to like my channel or subscribe. Maybe subscribe. I don't know how any of this really. I don't care. I don't care. I just like to share, and I kind of care. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about the numbers. But this is how we're organizing numbers. We're going to organize our numbers and our data tables and things like that. So we care about numbers. Actually, we care about numbers quite a deal. It's geometry. And it's very interesting, fascinating. So numbers are very, very interesting. You don't have to make it a ringed binder. You don't have to. It might be a thing for you. You might have has its own glue, that kind of binder, or you might not wanna. You might not want to use a binder at all. Maybe you want to use a text widget. And again, some of these do not work. Like my cigarette doesn't work. There are some of them that do. I have to refresh that. I get broken stuff all the time because I input and it just helps to refresh that every now and then. Maybe then you'll have it fall finalized and you'll have your keywords all right in order. Some of them work, some of them don't. But if you go to GitHub, they have shortcuts. There's an in-dreams way of doing tags. I think maybe skull. Let's try. Oh, there was one. We've done this. Circle is one. That's like, I don't know if they call them tags. I call them tags from HTML days. You would have your tags div, align, equals, center. You know what I'm doing right now? I'm doing HTML. I don't know if this is even done anymore. And this is how you would organize this is how you would do it on your website, and stuff like that. This is the language of hypertext mathematical language. It's been a long time, but these you have colons, and they will give you. I should post a link, maybe in the scene for you to see. We just went to Nirvana, apparently. I'm sorry. I have quite a mix of songs and musical inspiration and tastes I take from. I like a lot of different things. I just love music and art and creation. And I am from the 90s. I grew up in the 90s grunge era. I appreciate that whole thing. You probably heard me talk about Alice in Chains. So on here, or where is it? Where is it? I have this in my notes. That's a bit for me to text out. Basically, it's github.com, okay? And it says emoji cheat sheet. So if you go to github.com and you go to emoji cheat sheet, it will give you a list of colons in which to have your various emojis, and I made an entire game just with slapping squares which move at you for foes and the what you control as being these emojis. I call it an emoji war, and these make themselves. The skull does not work. It disappointed me, nor does the. I do not remember the ghost working. Ghost, which this stays on point because you can use these in your pages on your book to represent figures and numbers and things. Ghost does not work, nor does my cigarette, nor does the bomb or the. See, I thought maybe the bow and arrow would be a cool one to work, and a sword and stuff. We'll see what. I know the monkey does. Some of them do. See, I made a whole game out of them, so the hearts work. And what was I trying to do? Oh my God. Uh, Journal. I know works. There are books. Uh, Journal. We'll just shoot this out of the dark and see if that does anything. It doesn't. Uh, let me look for it. I'm looking for it online now. I do not have these saved. You can probably follow along and just look at them right now. Now is a good time. The GitHub with those uh, emoji cheat sheet. This has been posted. We should have these as quick reference guides somewhere, perhaps in the community, for people to see, because it is very handy. It's handy for a lot of reasons like we're exploring now. I made an entire game out of them, or you can use them for icons and associate and mirror them with your data tables to represent keys. There are keys. Keys work. I know. I used it. Things like that right here. There's a bone. There's a foot. And there's an ear with hearing aid. A brain. There's a brain. See if brain works. Emojis. See if brain works. Let's use our brains today. Brain does. There's a brain. See? That is one. That is one of many that you can use. And I do not believe that takes up very much memory, and that is not a sculpt. You do not have to pixel that out. That's like ones and zeros in data. So one could make an entire game out of this, which was my experiment with Emoji Wars. Just a very low budget game, if you wish, because you can make your text unmovable and then the blocks invisible and so on and so forth. And that's what I did. That was just a fun thing to do. And it's also that whole game Emoji Wars is quite a metaphor. I hate social media, but I'm on it. I hate the way we interact. I love to communicate, but I hate the attitude on it. I don't like the like-based system. I think it's all very the antithesis of my personal philosophy. And I don't really hate. Hate's a strong word. And just admire disdain, and I poke fun of it, and the entire game is poking fun at it, and I believe it's all controlled by some kind of divide and conquer intelligence system, which is why if you beat the first level in Emoji Wars, you get to see what the second level is and who's controlling it, but no one has, because apparently no one's beaten the boss but me, but you have to beat the boss to score. That's how I'm testing you, if you even play the level or beat it. No one has but me from last time I checked, so you just have to kill the boss and you get to keep your damn points, you know. But no, you won't stick it out. I don't care if you play my game. But it's based upon this. It's based upon this principle. Is that I could make a game and be really, really lazy about it if I wanted to, and still have it maybe be fun. Which was the whole thing. I thought it was kind of fun. Whatever. I personally enjoy playing it every now and then because it's brainless shooting, and one would do that on their phone or something. But make phone games. The idea being phone games are taking off, and there's quite a demographic of women gamers out there that are being ignored. It's actually, if you look up the demographics, there's a lot of them, and phone games are. If you're trying to make money out there, I'm just sharing what I've learned. are the ways to go. You know, it's all about free games, free to play. You can get your ads or your micro transaction systems in play. All you have to do is have an addictive, no-brainer phone game. That's how you're going to make your money, not your dream, uh, not your dream game. Probably not. Not unless you're working for a company, because no one's going to love the amount of love that you put into something as much as you do, even though it's your dream, because it's your dream. Unless you have to do it intrinsically, is what I'm trying to say. This has to come from within. You have to understand. So let the motivation be the will and desire to create for yourself. And whatever I said back there might have been just a complete lie. Uh, Perhaps it will get you somewhere. I don't know. Do keep trying to succeed in the system we have to operate in. We were looking for a book. Uh, I am trying myself. I have tried. I've gone to school. I'm just a Jodo. Keep trying. Keep focus. It's easy to lose focus, you see. And I'm not lecturing anyone out there. I'm more or less lecturing myself because I look back at these things and I could tell myself, if you're talking that, you better walk it. And so, it's checks and balances of self, and I do meditate. Why don't we type in book? Because that seems, there is a dang journal. Actually, Dylan found it, and so, it's not a lie. Now those are all mucked up. It's good to refresh these, maybe, so that way when you do find the ones that work over time and element, then maybe that's an open book. We have an open book. So that would help you out. Maybe all the time, and then, yes. So, that's just an example. That's something you could slap on. You don't even have to really make a book. You could have a, a closed book, on an invisible, and when you go over it, it changes. And could be all in the same logic cube. Let's find. Let's just do this real quick because we were saying different kinds of ways of making journals, and I just wanted to tell you how lazy you can be about it if you wanted to. I mean, you don't have to sculpt it. If you're having trouble sculpt it, you don't want to animate it. You don't have to animate it, and you still want it to make it look cool. Maybe maybe this is an icon in your world up here, and somehow you're able to highlight on it. You possessed your puppet, but maybe there's a certain action which highlights up here in the closed book, and then you make an action and it opens because there is a closed book, and now you're open, and then maybe this will go bigger, and then you can have your words that way if you wish. You can be very, very lazy if you want to. That's the whole point. You can be lazy and do this in your sleep, half asleep. Take your time, organize your tables that way. The choice is yours. But I think data tables and books like that are a good familiar way in which to think about maybe a way in which a logical system and a foundation in which it grows, because uh, branches and leaves, leaflets and information that's in that brain. It's interesting, isn't it? Yes. Tree brain. Happy trees. We didn't mean to do that, but we have thoughts sometimes and connections, and that's why I love philosophy. It's like you're looking at something and there's something to all that now, isn't there? Anyway, on for 30 minutes now. We haven't sculpted anything live. I'm not seeing anybody live join my channel. I'm going to check through the app. Well, I haven't seen anyone actually join, so um, perhaps I would break uh, at this moment. I do have to break. Um, Often, actually, I forgot to put ice on my arm before I started this, and I'm nursing a small injury. It's not a big deal. It's soft tissue. I just have to get it not swelling and expanding and correcting and get it back into order. And again, I think this is good therapy. This tool it stabilizes, and you get to use it, which you're supposed to, but not abrasively uh, rotate. I want to put that itself, and I have to be careful after I ice it so I don't. But that itself is not not really okay. So I would have been to Hollow Doctor. I'd be like, Doctor, this hurts, and then will tell me, well, do this exercise and emulate. I have my puppet like stretch it out, you know, stuff like that. I mean, it's possible. It sounds like nonsense, but it's not. It's actually some things are easier than you think. Most things are an illusion. Like drawing trees and art. It's just form and function, and really all it is about patience. You can do it fast maybe if you know what you're doing. We'll see speed building when you know what you're doing with these tools. You know how all the paints and the colors combine and the techniques in which to produce your little things. When that's all knowledge, but that knowledge comes slowly. Turn the page. Slowly. Turn the page. Slowly. Turn the page. And learn as you go. Absorb. See things in layers. And then stand back and look at it as a whole. There's a quote also my favorite philosopher, and I don't want to misquote him. So let's find the quote really quick, because he should not be forgotten. Marcus Aurelius was a very smart man, and I don't believe we'll ever see peace in the land until the philosopher king is returned, and uh, we have presidents these days, not so much, but our presidents are a lot richer than the kings ever were back then. So, would you say that we have a philosopher leader anywhere out there in the world currently, right now, and is there peace? Um, Let me ask you that question. I'm not going to answer it for you. So let's read Marcus Aurelius, philosopher. What is the nature of the whole? So it comes from his meditations book too. I just do not wish, I believe it's on my personal Facebook, actually. It's my favorite quote. So why bother thumbing through that if I would ignore my Facebook. I do leave some things public. I just a bit insane, and it's because that's the crazy artist for me. I invent personifications in which to project my emotional self. So it's fun. You can do it too. Schizophrenics do it. Uh, well, it comes down to essence, basically. Let me explain the quote before I even bother to read it. Is you got basically what I said. I mean, what is the how does this relate to that? What is the nature of the whole? Knowing that you are nature, and there should be no one that hinders you from questioning yourself and what you're a part of. You keep questioning that whole philosopher, Socrates spirit that will eventually they'll make you drink the hemlock, because you're not supposed to. You're supposed to go with the herd in society. You're not supposed to write your own story and your own legacy. You're supposed to have books thrown at you when you're a child that tells you and forms your reality. Um, there is liberty, but it's filtered, and information that is not accessed or available to you is oppression. It's hiding. There was a great tower of Alexandria that fell, and it bridged a lot of people, a lot of information. It's a very sad thing that happened. There was a great lighthouse that fell of reason. And unfortunately, it was ignorance that caused it to happen, and war and destruction, and people wanting things for themselves and not understanding the true value of those things. Because it wasn't gold. There was something much more sacred and deep inside, and they could not, for the life of them, see the value. So they burned it. And that truly is sad. Tragic, even. Just spinning webs for you to explore. Perhaps all these could be jargon. I myself, I would write my book. I would write my thoughts. I would write my philosophy, my legacy, my dreams, and it would be an object out in space, floating among a billion satellites out there of matter and things that maybe look like nothing until you look deeper and you peel back the layers and you see that there is something there. What do you think? Anyway, we will return if you wish. You don't have to. I might not. I might go somewhere. The point is, it's up to you to do what you want. And I can show methods for this. We can make this actually, instead of being a animation to flip, as I was kind of thumbing through movers, and this action, yes, it's rotating. We can maybe use connectors and rotators for opening and closing. And the key to this operation, that flippity flip motion I showed you with the open and close and keyframe, which can be done in different ways with switches or counters, left and right control, and then also having the book itself not be movable until the keyframe enables it in that slide. From initial keyframe maybe is movable when it activates, but then the final keyframe is again not movable, so it slides and stays, slides and stays, and then you won't have any issues with that. If that made any sense, that's an issue resolve that can be resolved. It's all in fine tuning. We're just fleshing out our song here, our little ballad of reason, and so there's always rehearsal and fine tuning and mastering your work. But for the moment, these are just little ringlets of a ladder to get there, if you wish, and use it. It's a book. You know, books are wonderful, and you can write your own. And for all the suggestions I just gave, because your character here, which like you can draw a character or a tree. You wanna have a tree, like when you hover it over it, so we turn it like, you know, in like a sensor. Slap it on the paint, because it's an object. Paint's an object. Let's get our guide on. Let's get our ability to see maybe X-ray. Grab on there. So when it's hovered, we can even maybe if there was like a seed there, you know, and you went on the seed or something like that, then the seed from start will start the animation. So just when it's hovered, or when you grab it, you know, depending on, you can do a click system, which we will muck about with. We can do this. It's just about playing with it. But just for example, it's not like an issue. You just like to stray. Maybe even make it move when you know, if these were leaves, it's a trunk, but there were leaves. And I believe you can, I haven't done it, but I'm sure it's been done. Maybe, you know, these actually would draw out as that happens, you know, that can be done. Or Ooh, we're on the page, which is still kind of cool, huh? Like glowing page. Let's do that. But we're going to be hovering over the branch. It doesn't make any sense. It's not what we wanted to do, but we're just going to show that it works when we do it. Let's check it out. It's not working. Hovered. Doing. Hovered. Hovered. Since grab. What else? What else is there to that, really? Hovered. Okay. We were just in a mood. And again, this is the whole page, it appears to be. I wasn't on the paint, but you can be on the paint to do video. Well, let's back up that reasoning with la 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 la. There. Yes, yes, you can. I've done it. Yes, you can. You can slap reason on paint. Anyway, turning the page and click. We can do that. We can do something like putting a character in there. Draw the character, and when you poke him, he will emit your character, actual puppet out. Which I don't know really what I draw a character, but not like okay. So, alright. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for paint. I'm looking for paint. Not spray paint. We're proficient for all modes. Engage. Sure snap. Click. Click. Give me the guy. It's just a stick figure anyway. See what's up. And I'm sure we can animate him to, do whatever he wants. Yeah. He's on my page. He's on my page. Okay, again with the layers. He's apparently on my second page. This could be what's happening. But okay. Come here. Alright. And again, if you want to move stuff, that are locked in a way, like if you want to move stuff that are locked, say you have layers of a face sculpt, like you have layers of face sculpt that are on invisible. You want to play with it. You're like, oh shit, now it's all together and everything's all mucked up and blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. Excuse my language. That just comes out. I'm trying to watch it. Look at Merle's eyes. No, you're not at all. I told you he's bound with my consciousness at this point, this spider. I don't know if they programmed it or maybe it's melded with my brain. So I've been doing this too long sometimes in my sleep. Maybe spider crawls into my brain and I talk through him. He is part of me now. Spider brain in the web of the matrix. Perhaps. Center back. We were going to have. Oh yes, we were going to tell you. We're in the keyframe. We can move this if we wanted to. Lock it, fire it, keep it on, and then work beneath. Whatever you want. And when we're done, we delete it, and it'll slide right back into place. That is helpful. It is. Just to have a keyframe lock and stuff that you want to mess with everything else real quick, and you want to keep working, keep it all in a keyframe, mess with your stuff, and when you're done messing with that stuff, when it's slid over, like physically, what I'm trying to say is like, you move all your stuff that you want to work with, it's all in this keyframe that I say lock. This is all I do for myself. I say lock, and then I grow this somewhere really big, so I can't miss it. And so I know that's there. I'm like, oh yeah. Or you can even color it or whatever. I'm sure. No, you can't. Yes, you can. Uh, Animate it if you want to flash or something. I wonder if you can do that. I've never done that. I mean, I know how to do this animation process, but to animate that, I've never done. And why? Maybe for your personal self. I think you can see logic in the level. Stop. I don't want it to stop because I want it to tell me things. You can turn those off, but you can see that I ignore them, and then every now and then I'll settle down and pay attention because of my monkey brain. And I will refer to tutorials and learn to people, and I'm the impatient type that learns by wanting to do things, and so I do them and I learn that way. I want to do it, so I do it, but I'm not going to get frustrated about not getting my thing not to work when I haven't done all the tutorials and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get frustrated. I can't wail on guitar because I'm self-taught and I'm lazy. I'm not learning the formal way of doing the tool, and I've done my own thing. It's not the instrument's fault. Yeah, see, he knows. It's just be patient and do the process. You know, just go through it. Don't have an ego about it. You know, don't don't have that. This is for you. Think about it as therapy. Go through the learning process, and you're actually expanding your brain. You know what's frustrating? What leads to frustration is just not understanding things, and it can tear you apart. I believe. It's just that's the monkey brain, and it's just like a monkey in a cage. If you don't calm it down, if you don't understand something and why something's happening, you go into a rage, and it's actually it's really unhealthy too. Really unhealthy. It's exhausting, huh, Spider? So is this dialogue. Let's go to animate action recorder. It is changing. Let's see, it keeps doing it. Yeah. So maybe you want to draw attention to something that you're messing with something. You don't want to miss it. Uh, and again, something to really know. This is a great thing to poke around with stuff so you can see it. There's this, but then there's also that. But X-ray is always very handy. Uh, in your dream journal, you'll see as an object. You hit the X-ray, you'll see all the little object going on inside there. It's a tree. A book is a tree. Logos, and it's like ours. It's like a brain. It's a manifold of space and time and information. It's a hologram too. And I want you to dream, and I want you to write your own book, your own story, and the choice is yours to do what you want. I have my books. Let's share our information, our stories, and grow because life is beautiful, and without those bridges and expressions and at least a way to organize, our thoughts and a way of expressing it. It's just so it's all chaos, right? It's just so let's have a center. And again, I talk. I look back at my own feeds and I'm like, oh, okay, yes, let's remember the center. So um, let's remember the good book, Love and Light, Harmony, Reason. And keep dreaming because we are nature.